media won't tell you the truth, but we will. Welcome to the Gaddis Report, where real journalism still exists. The Gaddis Report.
Come and find the land.
Welcome back to the show on the Gaddis Report on the Australian National Review. Okay, so big news. I was away for a little bit, and then when I come back, we're in a full-scale war with Iran. So it's looking like it's going to be a world war because now other countries are jumping in. Russia and China, now North Korea. Everybody's jumping in or talking about jumping in, and Israel is only getting more aggressive. Because what you have to keep in mind is this is the visual to keep in mind. The visual to keep in mind is this. Greater Israel, right here. This is what they want. They want greater Israel. And honestly, it might even expand out into that because now they want, well, as you can see, we'll see a little bit later, all of the neocons, all of the Jewish bought and paid for Shabbos Goy, all of the Jews in position of power, they are pushing for this, and they have been pushing for this for 20 years. You can find videos all the way back to the 90s where Israeli people, representatives, spokespeople have been pushing the U.S. to go into a war with Iran. This is just Iraq 2.0, okay? And it's all in conquest of greater Israel. So here's a video that's coming out. This is Lindsey Graham. He's confirming massive new attacks on Iran. The amount of by the way, this is in quotes, the amount of firepower coming in the next day or two from us is going to be overwhelming. End of quote. Another quote. I've never felt better about how this ends. It's not if they fall, it's when they fall. So this is him just drooling at the mouth for this war. He loves it. This is a good representative of what your politicians actually are.
So I've never felt better about how this ends. It's not if they fall, it's when they fall. It's not us alone, it's us with the region. Europe is now getting into the game. So I want to compliment President Trump for starting something that the world is now gravitating to. This regime is in its death throes. The amount of firepower coming in the next day or two from us is going to be overwhelming. And when you add to the mix the Arab capability, then it's going to be overwhelming. The demise of this regime is at hand, and the goal is to make sure they can never be a threat like they were before.
So there you go. Drooling, loving this. Here's another clip of Lindsey Graham pleading with Trump to join the Israeli military in fighting in Lebanon. So now let's just drag more and more countries into this. And that's not where their aspirations end, by the way.
And they support Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. One thing to President Trump, in case you're watching. In 1983, Ronald Reagan sent Marines and sailors to try to police and deal with the Lebanese civil war. They were at the end of the runway. Hezbollah attacked the Marine barracks, killed 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and wounded 100 others. Ronald Reagan, who I admire and love, withdrew and never did anything about it. So I'm calling on President Trump today. Join Israel to attack Hezbollah. Avenge the Marines. America never forgets. Those 220 Marines and 18 sailors' families, we want to go after the infrastructure that killed your loved ones. They're IRGC assets in Beirut as I speak. President Trump, come up with a new operation called Simplify. Fly with Israel and go after Hezbollah, who has American blood on its hands. Not only take the mothership of Iran down, also take the proxy of Hezbollah, settle the score, even the account.
You know who has blood on their hands? Well, now it's the United States government, because it's now killing its own soldiers by sending them into this needless war. This is from Visegrad. The U.S. has released the names of the first 4 soldiers killed in battle against Iran, and believe me, more to come. And this was posted on March 3rd, so I'm sure more have been killed, but we haven't gotten the names yet as of yet. Captain Cody Kohirk, 35 years old. By the way, to note, these are all white people, white Americans that are dying for Israel. Sergeant First Class Noah Tahijans, I know I'm pronouncing this wrong, 42. Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, 39. Sergeant Declan D. Code, 20. So these are just a few of the people who will have died, and more to come on that. Meanwhile, as our own country deteriorates, we know there's a lot of problems in the United States. We're facing mass immigration. It's not just people coming over the border, it's the millions of migrants that we have in the country already that Trump hasn't been able to get out. So you can launch a full-scale war against Iran, but you can't manage to fight off a few protesters, anti-ICE protesters, and actually get these people out. By the way, that was the number one reason why we voted for Trump, that and his promise to be the no new wars president. I'll get us out of wars, no new wars. And here we go right into the biggest war of our day. Here's a video of Trump saying that the immigrants aren't actually that bad. Why don't you leave your problems at home, you deal with the migrants. They're not actually that bad. We have wars to get to.
Many countries opened up their prisons and dropped them into the United States. Those are the people who are getting out. And we have a lot of heart. They said, you got to lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms, and they're working in luncheonettes and hotels and all. And we're looking to get the criminals out right now, the criminals. And I think it's very important. I mean, every once in a while you see a story, we take somebody. He should be out because they came in illegally. So in theory, they should be. But we're focused on the murderers, the drug dealers, the mentally insane. We have a lot of mentally insane killers. I mean, you can't even talk to them. It'd be nice if you could have a little reason, but you can't even reason. These are seriously ill people. You have a couple of countries where they were loaded up. Their mental institutions and insane asylums were loaded to the gills. They couldn't get. They're empty now. But they're filling up because we're bringing them all back. We know where they came from. And every country accepts them. Under Biden, they wouldn't say, they had so little respect that they'd bring them there and they wouldn't take them. They said, get the hell out of here. They would be bringing a plane in to land in a country.
Well, glad to see Trump's priorities are right where they should be. You American citizens, deal with it. Deal with it. They're not actually that bad. They're not that big of a deal. They're just taking your jobs. They're just raping your families. They're just committing crimes and making the streets dangerous because they don't know how to drive. That's all. You deal with that because we have bigger fish to fry, like committing war crimes and going into another country that has nothing to do with us and starting a war with them. And by the way, starting a war with their allies as well. So this is now France is getting involved, of course, on the pro-Israel side. And now other countries are going to start jumping in. Here's a clip. This is Thomas Massie. Yesterday, the House debated my Iran war powers resolution for 2 hours. The vote is today. By the way, that resolution was struck down, of course, because anything America first gets struck down. The only thing that stands up is if it benefits Jews or Israel. Our troops deserve a clear mission. So when it's done, they can come home. No more forever wars. That's a post from Thomas Massie. And here's his debate about this resolution.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Yeah, I'm happy to yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Kentucky and the sponsor of this important resolution, the Honorable Representative Thomas Massie.
Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
I thank the gentleman from New York. Mr. Speaker, James Madison wrote to Thomas Jefferson in 1789, the Constitution supposes what the history of all governments demonstrates, that the executive branch of power is the most interested in war and most prone to it. It has accordingly, with studied care, vested the question of war in the legislature. The Constitution is clear. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of our Constitution provides Congress initiatory powers of war. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of our Constitution gives the President operational powers of war to wage that war. Even if this body were to pretend that the 1973 War Powers Resolution supersedes the clear language of the Constitution, the President still has not met the conditions required by that law itself. The 1973 War Powers Resolution states plainly that the President may only introduce U.S. armed forces into hostilities pursuant to 3 conditions. Either 1, declaration of war, 2, specific statutory authorization, or 3, a national emergency created by an attack upon the United States. None of those conditions exist today. Iran has not attacked the United States, Congress has not declared war, and Congress has not granted specific statutory authorization. Beyond the constitutional question, here lies an even more important one. Why are we going to war with Iran? We owe our military service members a clear mission. And American families in my district want to know how this is going to help them pay for groceries. How does this make them any safer in their schools or in their neighborhoods? How does this help them pay for housing? Have we learned nothing from the laundry list of wars and regime change experiments we sparked across the Middle East that have racked up a total of at least $8 trillion of debt in Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan? A sustained war with Iran will not stabilize the region. It's already ignited the region. It will radicalize new generations of terrorists, and it will send more swarms of refugees into Europe and the United States. Iran is not Venezuela. The Ayatollah was not a president. He was a religious leader from a region notorious for radical Islamists. And the United States and Israel turned him into a martyr. And in the process of doing so, we've already expended billions of dollars, and more solemnly, 6 American families must now lay to rest their sons and daughters. And for what? This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war. The president says we had to strike first because an Iranian strike was imminent. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense conceded there was no evidence of an imminent Iranian strike. Some told us this war was about nuclear weapons, but 6 months ago, we were assured our last strike on Iran decimated their nuclear program. So which is it? I think the most candid answer came from the Secretary of State, who told the press that Israel forced our hand and dragged us into this war again. And that truth is the very reason why it is Congress that must decide war. If American lives are to be risked and American blood is to be shed, that decision must be debated and voted on by the representatives of the American people. And that debate is meant to be arduous. And that vote is meant to be hard. I have a theory. I think my colleagues don't want to go on record because we have a terrible track record of meddling in the Middle East. They don't want their name associated with this when it doesn't turn out well. But Congress cannot be bothered with its constitutional duty because for many in this chamber, it's easier to simply allow someone else's sons and daughters to be sent to combat without their vote. And to be clear, we aren't even here to declare war today. All we're voting on is a war powers resolution to reassert the Constitution, that Congress must decide questions of war. And if Congress wants war, then the Speaker should hold a vote to declare it. Some say Congress authorizes war when we pay for it, when we pass the budget bill. Here's the problem. We haven't taken on the hard work of defining the mission for our sons and daughters who are going to fight. That's not in the budget bill. It never is. And to the men and women who are engaged in combat, I sincerely thank you, and I pray for your safety. It is for you that I wrote this resolution. It is for you that all of us are here on this floor working so hard to force this vote so that you will have a clear mission that you deserve, so that you will know when you achieve it, you can come home. And with that, I urge support for this resolution, and I yield back.
So there you go, our one congressman who is actually standing on business. Not many of them there, not many of them. And if you remember, it was Thomas Massie who blew the lid on the fact that AIPAC has a handler for everyone. And shortly after that, his wife mysteriously died. But I'm sure that's just a coincidence as well. Here's Nick Fuentes' take. Of course, always a good take from him. If you want to know anything about what's going on in the war with Iran, I suggest you listen to his show because he's the only one that's been consistently right on this. And he's doesn't have a weird Fox News background. You know, Tucker Carlson has been pretty good lately. I'm glad to see that he's standing up against this war, as well as Candace Owens and others. But again, the one that I trust the most is Nick Fuentes. The best takes out there that I can find. Here is his take on what the purpose of this war with Iran is, because sometimes it's hard to understand. Okay, so what is it? What is Greater Israel? What's going on? Here we go.
Why are we fighting in Iran? It's not about nukes. It's not about missiles. The reason that we were brought into this engagement is because Israel seeks regional hegemony in the Middle East. This has been their plan for decades and decades. They sized up their neighbors in the 1970s, and they looked at all of the Arab or Muslim or other countries arrayed against them. And they realized that if they wanted to truly be secure and safe and powerful, they would have to systematically defeat in detail, confront all of their enemies, destroy their regimes, and dismember their states. And only then would Israel be free to expand their territory, gain access to vital resources, and be able to secure its borders. And that's exactly what has happened. Israel has orchestrated over the course of 30, 40 years the destruction of the regime in Iraq, the destruction of the regime in Syria. And regime change in those two countries created opportunities for Iran. Iran filled the vacuum. Iran is much larger than those countries, much larger population, bigger territory, ancient history, bigger middle class, more money, more oil revenue, bigger military. When Iraq went down, Iran came in and they backed Shiite militias there. And they gained a foothold in the country. It's called the Popular Mobilization Forces. And when Assad was weakened, not defeated, but weakened, it was the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which deployed in Syria to fend off ISIS and the Kurds and all those other groups. And in doing this, Iran created a pipeline. They had personnel in Iraq, in Syria, and that connected them to their proxies. Hezbollah in Lebanon, which shares a border with Israel, but also the Houthis in Yemen, which they created and which they supported when they took power in 2013. This was the final battle. They took down Iraq, took down Syria, and then Iran, being the big one, having the bigger military, having the bigger population, having the superior everything, and creating this proxy network, this was their final rival in the region. Why did Iran want nuclear weapons? Because it recognized that if it didn't have them, the U.S. and Israel would take them out as they did Iraq and Syria. That's why Iran had a nuclear hedge. And that's why Iran had a ballistic missile factory. That is why they had this massive stockpile, because that was also part of their deterrent force. They knew it was coming. Israel stripped away their nuclear program, destroyed their missile program, so that now they can achieve what they always wanted, which is to topple the Iranian regime so that Israel can expand in every direction. Think about it. Israel has made peace through treaty with Jordan, which is on their east, and Egypt, which is south of them. They are also treaty allies of Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates through the Abraham Accords. There is a lot of talk about Saudi Arabia being brought into the Abraham Accords as well. Iraq is a shell of its former self. The U.S. maintains a presence there, and they don't have a strong and powerful military. In Syria, after the Assad regime was ousted in 2024, Israel, or rather in 2025, I believe it was, it was 24. Israel came in and destroyed all of the Assad regime's military hardware, leaving Syria utterly defenseless. Israel defeated Hezbollah and now is using U.S. influence in Lebanon to placate that country also. If Iran is out of the picture, all you have to do is take a look at a map. Israel will have no rivals. They are treaty allies with half of their neighbors. They have destroyed the other half. They have made peace through U.S. bribery and U.S. accords with Egypt, Jordan, Emirates, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. They have destroyed the regime in Iraq, Syria, and soon to be Iran. This is their ultimate objective. And what this gives them is unbridled, unrestrained, unlimited power. To do what exactly? Well, most likely to expand their territory. Without Iran backing Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas, Israel can pretty easily push the Palestinians out of the occupied territories without having to worry about Saudi Arabia and its influence with the United States. And that arrangement, Saudi Arabia has conditioned rapprochement with Israel upon Palestinian statehood. If Israel doesn't have to worry about it, again, they can push the Palestinians out. So what surely comes of Iranian regime change is that Israel first takes the West Bank, takes Gaza. Do they stop there? No. Why would they? Then they go in, as they are, in Lebanon, and they take southern Lebanon, south of the Litani River. And then they use that as a platform to go into southern Syria. And they go where the Druze live. They go down south, right up to the suburbs of Damascus, maybe taking a chunk of that. And maybe they expand south into the Sinai. Why do you think Egypt is deploying its military to the Sinai Peninsula and building tunnels there? They anticipate the collapse of the Camp David Accords and that Israel might seize the Sinai Peninsula. If Israel wanted to reach out then into Jordan, into Saudi Arabia, who exactly would stop them? The answer is nobody. What's more, with Iran out of the picture, now you have this all-important region, sea routes, overland trade routes. Think about the commerce that runs through this region between Asia, Europe, and Africa, through the Suez Canal, through the Strait of Hormuz. Think about all the energy in the Persian Gulf. Think about that vital highway between these continents where there will be rail and highways, where there will be plane routes, where there will be sea routes through these all-important choke points. This is the most influential region in the Eurasian African continent. This is the connector between the three. If Israel controls that region, how rich, how powerful can they become? Again, without being checked, without being restrained, constrained by any strategic or tactical imperatives because of rivals in their neighborhood.
Well, there you go. Nick Fuentes' take. Again, it's so much more complicated than you think. Sorry, I was having to get into trying to get my pad. It's more complicated than it looks, okay? You can think, well, maybe this is about restraining Iran. This is because they have nukes. No, it's not because they have nukes. That's just a convenient excuse that these people use every time. They have a nuclear hedge. That means it's meant they could potentially make a nuke. They don't have a nuke. They're not planning on making a nuke, but they just have that hedge as a deterrent. And at some point, it's like, well, dang, they should have just gone right ahead and made the nuke. Here's another, actually, before we get to that other clip, this is a interesting graphic. This is a website that just came up with this. This is showing how much money we are spending, the U.S. taxpayer is spending on Israel every second, I believe. So as you can see, it's just going up. And when you see it like this, wow, this is how much money you and I, instead of being able to buy a home, buy groceries, we're sending our money off to Israel so that they can murder people. And this is how the money is racking up. Just like that. Just like that, folks. Here's a video of, what is her name? Now I completely just blanked on her name. Nancy Pelosi. Sorry. Nancy Pelosi basically saying that if the United States falls, it doesn't matter if it helps Israel.
I have said to people when they ask me, if this Capitol crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid. And I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel. That's fundamental to who we, fundamental.
Cooperation. I love how she thought aid was a bad word to use. Cooperation is a better word. Cooperation? I thought we own you guys. We're cooperating with you? Shouldn't you be cooperating with us? That's what Trump should have done. If Trump would have used a third option instead of saying, well, I mean, we're going to get drugged in this war either way because Israel's planning on going ahead with it. If they would have actually said, no, you cooperate, actually. No, you stop. You pull the reins on this right now. We're not going to help you. Getting our guys out of there? No, let's go along. Let's cooperate with Israel because they own us. Because they own us. This is just in 49 minutes ago. Iran's foreign minister says Russia and China are helping Iran in it to win the war. Yeah. So there we go. If this is not shaping up to look like a world war, I don't know what is.
Are your allies Russia and China helping you?
Well, they are supporting us politically and otherwise.
Are they supporting you militarily?
Well, military cooperation between Iran and and Russia is not a secret. You know, we have worked with each other in the past, and that has continued. And will continue. I guess.
And they are actively helping you in this war?
Well, they are. They have always helped us.
So I'm gonna understand that to mean yes, that they are actively assisting you in this war.
Well, I'm not going to give the details of our cooperation with other countries right in the middle of the war.
Nice. So that's great. So let's now go to war with Russia and China now as well. This is another video that came out. This was on Al Jazeera, and they're talking about Mossad agents that were captured trying to plant bombs, trying to enact false flags.
I'm sorry about being an Israeli. Saudi Arabia has captured 2 Mossad agents. Qatar has captured 2 Mossad agents, and now they are in custody. Okay, and they are planning bombing here. The killing of and the assassination of
here.
the Mossad.
Where is here? Remind me. Here.
There you go. So now they're trying to provoke a war with Qatar as well. And that's going to happen all over. In fact, they're planning on going to war with Turkey as well. If I can find the clip, I believe it's right here. Here they are talking about how Turkey is going to be the next Iran.
Turkey is the new Iran. Erdogan is sophisticated, dangerous, and he seeks to encircle Israel. We can't close our eyes again.
You insane idiots. I just love that there's just like no applause. Like he stops as if there's going to be applause. He's like, Turkey is the new Iran. You can just imagine everybody like, what? Okay, so Turkey's going to be the next Iran. And then once they take out Turkey, what do you think is going to be the next Iran after that? Germany? What do you think is going to be the next Gaza, the next Palestine? All of Europe, if I had to guess? America itself? Suddenly they'll send America to war with Iran. Iran will use their hypersonic missiles to, blow apart the aircraft carriers. Tens of thousands of Americans will die. That will naturally have the consequence of making Americans hate Israel more. And so then they'll be able to basically say, look, America, it's hopeless. They're so anti-Semitic. There's nothing we can do about this. I guess they're the new Palestinians. Now they're trying to kill us, and they won't rest until we're all dead. We have to defeat them first. Please, China, won't you help us? Won't you defend us from the evil Americans? See, I have the feeling that this whole war in Iran thing is designed to kick off World War III with the express intention of destroying America once and for all, and moving more towards the east with Israel as the capital of a one world government. Have I mentioned this before?
I mean, it's pretty simple when you lay it out like that. Here's an interesting interview. This is an interview with Tucker Carlson, and he's asking our ambassador to Israel about, okay, so if God promised these people this land and that's what their claim is then they actually have more land than we thought. Basically, the whole Middle East then belongs to them if that's the case. And Mike Huckabee agrees with him. And so now, of course, the other Middle Eastern countries are in uproar about this because they're like, wait a minute, what? You're not taking our countries now, but that's, of course, what their aspirations are. They want to dominate the entire Middle East.
In the entirety of the world, there are about 16 million Jews total. And 8 million of them live here. The rest live mostly in New York or South Florida and a few other places.
Okay.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land, historically, biblically.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
How do we know that?
Do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point. So how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language, the Bible, the land.
His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right to be here?
Very much speaks the language. Well, he has fought for the land. His family has fought
I feel
for
like
the
you're
land.
dodging a
No, I'm not
very
dodging.
obvious question, which is, where does this right come from? And the
I've
reason it's
given you
meaningful
that
is
answer.
because there are a lot of people in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans, pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that work?
They're Jewish.
By what definition?
They're Jewish by their
But how do we know they have any connection
They're
to
Jewish
the Jews
by their
of the,
faith. They're
of the
Jewish
Bible?
by the connection to the language. Jewish by the connection to the Torah.
But how do we know that Bibi, specifically Bibi's ancestors, ever lived here? How do we know that?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
How do we know if the Prime Minister of Israel's ancestors ever lived?
Maybe I could ask you, how do we know they didn't? I mean,
well, it's on the basis of the claim that they did that all kinds of things happen. People are displaced. There's a money flow. I mean, it's a big question. A lot hangs on this. It's not some theoretical thing like, oh, did my grandparents do this or do that? It's like, no, we have a right to be here because my ancestors were here. Okay, how do we know they were here?
I'm totally unable to process what you're trying to get at.
So this is not the clip I was thinking about from the same interview, but in the same interview, he's explaining the lines, which is basically saying it's all of the Middle East. And then Huckabee just says, well, yeah, it should be all them. They're probably not going to take it, but it all belongs to them. Imagine being a country in the Middle East and hearing the United States ambassador to Israel saying that. Not great. Here's another clip from Nick Fuentes.
Why is it that Israel is able to do this? They have orchestrated all of this. They have orchestrated every aspect of this from the beginning. They orchestrated the elimination of the Iranian nuclear deal in 2018. They orchestrated the Al-Aqsa flood on 2023. They orchestrated the attack in 2025, and they orchestrated this. Again, they control the timeline. They control the tempo. They control the ladder of escalation. And what role does the United States play in this? What we are told about the relationship between the U.S. and Israel is that they are our ally and that we are their patron and they are our client. We furnish them with $3.8 billion per year in military aid. Last year, the Congress authorized $26 billion. Forgive me, that was in 2024 in the spring. $25 billion in additional U.S. military aid for Israel. We furnish them with F-35s. We tolerate their nuclear program. We protect them in the international community from condemnation in the Security Council, from sanctions from European countries. And yet they seem to be able to act alone. Think about how warped this dynamic is. Netanyahu comes here and tells us how it's going to be. He comes here over and over. Well, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. We. Who's we? You're our bitch. You take money from us. Like, we should own you. You wouldn't exist without us. You would have never existed in the first place. You could have never declared independence. There would have been no Zionist movement without American Jewry, without America's weapons. You'd have no nuclear arsenal. You wouldn't have won your war against the Arabs. You would have never won any of your wars for that matter. Your adversaries would still be standing. And they come to the White House and tell our president, hey, this is the way it's going to be. We're going in with you or without you. With you or without you. Who's the boss here? Who's in control of this relationship? Who is the superpower? Trump or Netanyahu? And of course, we all know that Israel is the boss. Israel controls our country. Now you know it for a fact.
There you go. So also at the same time, what's happening is MAGA is falling apart. I mean, I feel like it has been falling apart. Anyone who didn't get wise to the fact that this administration has sold you out and you were betrayed and you were tricked and you just fell for this scam. You fell for the speeches. You fell for the fanfare. It felt good, myself included. Myself included. At some point, you have to let it go, and that's what's happening. Even Alex Jones, who has been one of Trump's biggest supporters from day one, even he's falling off the bucket at this point.
So, why is it that Israel is able to do this? They have orchestrated.
And I'm watching it sink by its own doing. And so this is horrifying. And so, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III. And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism, because I fucking need this, man. Like, I want to fix the country. I want to turn it around. So it's not that I was delusional. And I still hope we can turn it around, but I just, sorry, go ahead. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen, like I said, I don't think that everybody that supported Trump was being dismissive about these concerns. I get it. You know, we all wanted to believe. I was 18 years old when Trump ran in 2016. And I remember getting in fights with people. This is my whole life, too. At 18 years old, I wore the MAGA hat at Boston University, one of the most liberal campuses in the country, and became a pariah on my college campus.
Something you sacrificed. It's sad to see something you fought and bled for die.
Yeah, and that's my whole adult life. I know that's a huge part of your life also, and now we're witnessing it's totally unraveling. It's an utter and complete betrayal. It's heartbreaking in many ways.
And when I try to salvage it with people, I get attacked as a liberal, which is when these people doing that can't even find Iran on a fucking map.
Yeah, well, what's called for is for us to be sober-minded about the entire thing, because there's a lot of Trump haters.
I've been a realist the whole time, but was hoping, and now I'm just not even hoping. I'm just going to be a realist.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's okay to have hope. I mean, we hope for a better future, but we got to be brutally honest about what
the bottom line is that I've confirmed that Israel is basically in control of our foreign policy by our own posture to be allied with them, and that is uncontrovertible. Because now they're trying to do damage control. Oh no, Trump gave the order. No, our very doctrine is if Israel's attacked, we attack. And so thank God Russia's not following its agreement with Iran or China, or we'd be in war with them right now. So it is a fact. And then the neocons, the Israel lobbies, all over the internet attacking anybody that points this out and tries to say it's not the case, while Netanyahu brags about it. So, I mean, that's the big news. I'm not even defending Trump. It actually makes him worse. That it is now literally true. What I claimed, I wanted to claim wasn't true because I don't want to believe it. That Trump is an errand boy of Israel. And how do we deal with that, Nick Fuentes?
Well, if Trump is an errand boy for Israel, then you got to shut down his government. And that means you got to go into the midterms and you got to get the Democrats in. And the Democrats hopefully will impede the administration. That's what they're going to do. They're going to launch investigations, subpoenas, select committee, all that kind of stuff. And they're going to grind it to a halt. And, if Trump is an operative of a foreign government, consider that he's forfeited his entire mandate, because his whole basis of support is that he's America first, MAGA. He's not like the other politicians. Okay, well, if you're an errand boy for Israel, if you're a puppet of the Jewish state and you're bringing us to war for them, that's not like a small thing. That's not like a little bit of foreign aid. We're going to war on their behalf. He has to be opposed. And a lot of people don't want to take it there for one reason or another. But, I don't know what the option is. I don't know how you work with that. If you're America first and Trump is Israel first, well, that's not exactly a divide that can be bridged.
Well, exactly. And as you say, heartbroken, because people have invested a lot of money, time. They put themselves in harm's way. And further on, if you watch the rest of that Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes collaboration, Alex Jones talks about a list that the FBI has compiled where him and Nick Fuentes is on it. So that's what the GOP is about now at this point. That's what the Republican Party is about. They don't care about hunting down the Epstein file predators. They don't care about building the wall or ensuring that U.S. citizens are safe. No, but they will compile lists of conservative commentators who care about their country. And that's basically all the GOP is at this point. Here is a clip of Pete Hegseth, very weird clip of him talking about building the third temple.
And today, Jennifer and I and others had a chance to go see the Western Wall of the Temple Mount, the Western Wall tunnels, so much of the old city. And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle, 1948 was a miracle, 1967 was a miracle, 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle, and there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible. I don't know how it would happen. You don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen. That's all I know. And a step in that process, a step in every process, is the recognition that facts and activities on the ground truly matter. And that's why going and visiting Judea and Samaria, understanding that sovereignty, the very sovereignty of Israeli soil, and Israeli cities, locations, is a critical next step to showing the world that this is the land for Jews and the land of Israel. And I believe, as was mentioned, he said you need to, what was mentioned is you need to buy the ticket. Don't just wish for 40 years to win the lottery, buy the ticket. I would submit to you, in light of the support you have in Washington, D.C., the support you have amongst patriotic Americans, amongst evangelical Christians, amongst believers, amongst Republicans, even amongst some Democrats who can barely say it anymore in Washington. Buy the ticket, take your action, do what needs to be done here in Israel, because I truly believe this is a moment where America will have your back. You have Donald Trump in the White House, you have Mike Pence as Vice President, you have Nikki Haley at the UN, you have true believers in Israel and America that have your back.
So who are you fighting for against? Who are you fighting for? Sounds very strange to me. Sounds like something a Jew would say rather than someone who's supposed to be a Christian. But again, that's our commander of war right there, talking about how we need to build the third temple. And by the way, here's a clip from a rabbi telling this is basically what will happen when they get everything that they want. At least this is what they plan on happening. So when Pete Hegseth, who supposedly represents the American people, when he helps Israel achieve their ends, this is what the Jews plan on doing with that power.
The Jews will settle the entire biblical land of Israel, from the Nile to the Euphrates. It will encompass not only Gaza, Yehuda, and Shomron, but also the entire Lebanon, parts of Turkey, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. The Talmud in Shabbat 32b says that when Mashiach comes, every Jew will have 2,800 non-Jewish servants. This is based on a verse in Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23.
Yay! So once we fight for their war and spread the blood of American patriots on foreign soil and spend billions and trillions of dollars and destroy our own countries, then they will be a superpower and we can all be their slaves. Yeah. Why don't we show clips like this to the evangelicals who keep telling Christians that God's chosen people, we have to be their slaves? Why don't you show them that? Although to the extent to which these people are cucked, they would probably be like, you know what? Those are God's chosen people. We're going to go ahead with that. Winding down the show, here's a clip from the Charlie Kirk show. Now that he is deceased, Ben Shapiro is taking the blood-stained mic, and here he goes, spreading war propaganda.
I know we at Daily Wire, we trust you at TPUSA to do it. I mean, that's really the answer. We're willing to provide, and we are providing, any level of material support, any level of support on the ground, boots on the ground, helping you to do what Charlie would have wanted to be done here. And I think that the reason that everybody trusted Charlie, the reason we're all mourning Charlie, is because nobody did it better. You spelled out two of Charlie's goals. You said, he wanted to bring people back to Christ, and bring people back to church and back to biblical values. And he wanted to keep the MAGA coalition together.
And expand it.
And the question is how you do that. And the answer is you focus on the first, and the second is a byproduct. Okay, the answer is that, as Matt says, you have to unite around something. And yeah, we can unite in the short term around the fact that there are a bunch of people who hate our guts and want to murder us, which of course is true. But long-term unity, big movement change, which is what Charlie was really trying to drive, and why he went to talk to people who disagree, is about building around those core values. And so the long-term vision, yeah, we'll have our petty squabbles, and yeah, some of those squabbles will be more than petty, but the long-term vision has to be built around those original biblical conservative values that Charlie stood for, things like the Bible, things like free markets, things like family, all those things are things Charlie stood for. You got to build the coalition around values, because we can't build it around the man, but we can build it around the values that he left behind and that he spent his entire life fighting for. And, we couldn't be, frankly, more honored to join you guys as much as we can in the fight.
Thank you for that, and thank you for donating the Daily Wire $1 million, breaking news on this show. Thank you guys for honoring Charlie so well today. God bless you.
$1 million. This is how they accumulate power. This is why they get what they want. It's way bigger than AIPAC. It's way bigger than a few Shabaskoy who've been paid off. This is because these people have institutional power in every institution in the United States. That's the difference. That's why this country in the Middle East has so much control over ours. Why they have us in a chokehold, and why our politicians, they say dance, jump, and they say how high, literally. Here's another clip from Massey talking about this war in Iran that is completely illegal, by the way. Never went through Congress. Trump just decided to up and go to war. Never asked any of us.
And for what? This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war. The president says we had to strike first because an Iranian strike was imminent. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense conceded there was no evidence of an imminent Iranian strike. Some told us this war was about nuclear weapons, but 6 months ago, we were assured our last strike on Iran decimated their nuclear program. So which is it? I think the most candid answer came from the Secretary of State.
Okay, so I thought that was a different one. This is the same clip. Here is an Israeli official talking about the war.
Do you think eventually there will be a need for boots on the ground?
I would not exclude it for those reasons or other, but we'll have to see how it goes forward.
And will that include Israeli boots on the ground, do you think?
I exclude nothing. We've been waiting for 47 years, and we came to a point that every necessary means should be taken in order to achieve our goals.
What we're seeing from...
We've been wanting this for 47 years, and no matter how many American troops have to die, no matter how many American troops with boots on the ground, which, by the way, that means billions of dollars of taxpayer money, not to mention the bloodshed of our troops dying over there, doesn't matter, because we want this, and we've been planning this for 40 plus years, and this will help us achieve our goals. Did you hear anything about America? Dude, this is supposed to be our best ally. Supposed to be our greatest ally, and yet not a single mention of America until it comes to our troops fighting in their war. Let's pull out our troops from the United States when the United States is crumbling. Let's take all our military might over to the Middle East. And by the way, this is how they treat, again, this is the disdain which they have. They need our soldiers to fight their wars, but this is how they treat soldiers who step out of line.
The reason for this war. America does not want to fight this war for Israel. Let's go. Come on, let's go. America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel. Your inability to name that shows your ineptness as leaders. This is wrong. And nobody wants to fight for Israel.
Reminder to all our
Commandant, please stand up as a Marine and stand up for America. Out. No one wants to fight for Israel. senator broke his hand. The senator broke his hand.
Come on, help him, please. Help him. Come on. He's a Marine. Somebody come help him.
Control your Senate committee.
Look at you guys. You're robots. You won't even look back. Look at you guys. You're like robots. Oh my God, what is happening? And you're not even looking back. Any of you 4-star generals. Oh my God, what is happening right now? Eyes front, robots. Shame. Shame. Oh my God, you guys. What did I just see? I'm getting out of here.
That's fine. Everybody sit down, please.
Oh my God, what is happening?
Okay. No, it's not.
Oh my God.
It's disgusting.
Oh my God, you guys.
Sorry, is that her? Can you open it up a little bit just to like change the gap? Hey guys, clear the hallways. Out. Clear the hallways. Out. Clear the hallways, please. Clear the hallways, please.
Can you help him, please?
Yes, yes. Other places going there. Please through the hallways.
Oh my God. What happened? His hand got totally smashed. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Why are you here?
Why are you getting arrested?
Free Palestine. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, Palestine will be free.
And what about this war in Iran?
Oh my God.
His arm.
Ah, fuck, my arm is fucking broke. What are you gonna do to him? My left arm is broke. I understand. Don't fight.
Oh my God. Oh, you guys, come on.
I need you to move. You need to stop. Okay.
Brian, stop.
He's fighting for you, not for him.
They broke his arm.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's totally broken.
Oh man.
Please, can you get him some kind of medical attention?
Yes, we are.
Oh my God.
You are? It's great.
You let go of my arm before you sit down.
Y'all step back, please. Please move
Can you
back.
get
Keep
him
this
some
walkway
medical
open.
attention?
Who needs her?
No, he broke his arm.
Okay. Would y'all just move aside then? That way people can still exit.
Josie, what happened?
We just witnessed a Marine veteran interrupting the hearing, and they broke his arm.
Why did he interrupt the hearing?
Because there is a war in Iran, and our military brothers and sisters are going to die for Israel, and we are here to say no. We do not support Israel. We do not want to die for Israel. Stop the war in Iran right now.
And what did they do to him?
They pulled him out, got his arm trapped in a door, broke his arm, tackled him to the ground. It was a very, very intense situation.
All right. So I'm going to grab your other arm. You can relax your arm. Okay? Try to save amazing lives.
What? Did you come here to protest? I'm for the hearing, but he's my friend, and he couldn't stand what they were saying anymore, so he spoke up. Is he with an organization? No, he's actually running for Senate in North Carolina. His name is Brian McGinnis.
Do you work for him?
No, I don't. And they all just kept their eyes forward, those cowards.
Please go behind the line right now. We have Free Palestine. Fuck the war in Iran.
You're
free to record, but we don't You're free to record. Please go behind the line. You guys are free to record all you want, but we're just asking you to please cooperate with us. Just go behind the line.
America does not want to fight this war in Iran, and the soldiers don't, right?
So there you go. That's a perfect example of what's going on to the American people. You have Israel wants our troops to die for them, but as soon as one of the troops who have been over there, by the way, sees what's going on and decides, no, the people are not behind this, and speaks out using his First Amendment rights, he's immediately tackled, thrown out, mutilated, arm broken. Why? Was he coming in there guns a-blazing? Or did he simply stand up and say something? state his opinion in the House of the People, by the way. So anyway, that's the show, folks. Pretty depressing. I'm not going to lie. It sucks to be facing down the barrel of a new war. And I hope if you guys have children out there, you do not let them enlist because they will die. Do not encourage your sons to go into the war, discourage them to go into the war. And by the way, if they plan on drafting people into the war, figure out ways of getting out of the country so that your sons and daughters don't get forced to go to war to die for this fucking country in the Middle East. Fuck Israel. Anyway, that's the show. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week.
Opportunities like this don't appear when a destination is already famous. Introducing Nasara Bay City, a newly reimagined coastal city in South Lombok. Designed as a low-density, nature-integrated mini-city, not a high-rise mega project. Beachfront living, resort-style amenities, and a master plan built for long-term growth. This is where early vision becomes long-term value.